Welcome back to Zaka Stokvel Insights, where we explore the world of stokvels and burial societies. Before the break, we touched on the current trends in the stokvel space and how the Baitsusi Investment Group can start their journey of wealth creation through investments. Anrich, there are a lot of groups or perhaps individuals that are still taking their time, in entering or engaging within the investment markets. So what should Baitsusi Investment Group consider when it comes to investing in general?
I think in terms of the investment strategy, they first have to start with what is the objective of a stokvel. Is it going to be a conservative approach or a more aggressive approach? Because that will determine in which financial securities they will have to invest. Secondly, I think they also need to educate their members, financial literacy levels. That will help a lot in assessing what needs to be done in order to make this group successful.
Anrich, you mentioned that there's a conservative approach and there's an aggressive approach. What does conservative really looks like?
Conservative, low risk, low return. So if you want to look at one of the most conservative assets, it's cash, because if I have 100 rand in my pocket, no one's going to take that. Hopefully not. But if you look at something more risky, let's call it investment or asset class, shares in companies, equities, if something happens in the likes of Steinhoff in 2017, let's say you have a portfolio of 100,000 rand, that can in 1 or 2 days be depleted to 10% of its value. So that is high risk, high reward. So it can go both ways. It can either go up by that much or down by that much as well.
A huge risk there. Now, when it comes to an aggressive investment strategy, what does that look like?
So very small when you lean towards your equities and shares.
Can you just break down to us on what does that actually look like?
Okay, so if you want to go aggressive, we look at the concepts again of risk and return. So if you want a high return, you're going to have to take a high level of risk. By taking a high level of risk, you're going to look at different asset classes that give you that high level of risk. So what I'd recommend is a more equity-based or share-based portfolio, but then still, just to cover some of that risk, even though it is one of the more risky asset classes, is to diversify among different classes or sectors. So one, invest in telecommunications, invest in retail, invest in forestry, invest in mining. So even between those equity classes or sectors, make sure that you diversify. If something happens on this side, like with Steinhoff in 2017, then you're safe, hopefully, on the other side.
Now, from your experience and from your perspective, what investment opportunities do you think would be great for Baitsusi to start off with?
I think, again, it comes back
as a starter.
As a starter, not knowing the level of financial education, not knowing what the objective is of a stokvel, I'd recommend starting again with a unit trust. Because that is an easy entry, low cost. You can start with amounts from as low as 100 Rand monthly debit orders, or you can also add capital amounts. The unit trust is managed by a professional group of asset managers, so that risk is taken away even if you're not as screwed up as you want or need to be in that area. And then also they take care of all the regulation, taxes, fees, and so on. So I think from optimizing returns while still staying on the safe side for now, I'd recommend going for a unit trust.
Unit trusts. Now, obviously with time, they would, as you mentioned, they would need to work more on their strategy in terms of attracting more members, because more members means more money. But they did touch on, their lack in terms of financial education and financial management. So what can they do to sort of overcome this challenge and start their process?
I think firstly it would be to start internally with the members. So enrolling for financial literacy workshops, attending training sessions, consulting experts if it's something that those workshops do not cover and they need it for some kind of transaction for a stokvel. So that's the approach I would recommend for them.
What are the most popular workshops that are out there right now that they can approach?
There are different courses on offer either by financial institutions. So if you log into your banking app, whatever platform you use, sometimes there are either free courses or paid courses that you can enroll in. So for example, budgeting, financial management, just the basics. And then also certain academic institutions offer workshops or even short courses. We call it short learning programs, where you can enroll for that. Sometimes it's also free of charge, so you can just enroll and you get your certificate. Or sometimes you need to pay to enroll for those courses.
Now, Anrich, some stokvels do tend to be gender strict. And while some, it has worked for them, as you mentioned that, stokvels used to be more of, a black female savings and investment tool. But is this limiting Baitsusi a bit? Do you think that they need to open themselves up a bit?
I think there's two sides to the coin in this scenario. So if you look at Baitsusi, it's only male members. So in a certain sense, that's the identity of a stokvel. So we are males only, this is our identity, this is what we stand for, this is what we aim to achieve. The problem with that is diversity or inclusion, or like new knowledge from different members of society. So in a certain sense, if you're saying that we are a stokvel Baitsusi only male members, you are limiting that potential for financial growth, member growth. So on the one side, it can be a good thing. On the other side, it can also be a bit of a challenge going forward.
Well, we will be unpacking more there when it comes to growth and what it actually looks like for this investment group. Please do stay with us. We will be back shortly.
Are you a member of a stokvel or burial society? We at Thai Vision Media specialize in helping stokvels and burial societies. Contact us for professional stokvel and burial society administration, access to investments and funeral cover experts, and credible financial information. We will help your stokvel and burial society to achieve your goals and grow. Contact us today.